Nobody expected the shift. When Caitlin Clark was on screen, people stayed. NBA on NBC night changed everything. 400% growth. Not projection. Actual. Owners admitted, we can't slow this down. Veterans weren't cut. They were bypassed. This wasn't marketing. This was math. Nobody expected the shift to happen this fast. Not the league, not the veterans, not even the networks that thought they were just testing a new audience. Because this wasn't supposed to be a takeover. It was supposed to be a feature, a segment, a crossover, a safe experiment. Instead, it became the moment everything flipped. It started quietly, the way most power shifts do. No breaking alert, no emergency meeting, just numbers moving in a direction nobody could ignore. Inside owner circles, the dashboards refreshed again and again. Viewership, engagement, sponsor interest, subscription spikes. The same pattern kept appearing. When Caitlin Clark was on screen, people stayed. When she wasn't, they left. At first executives tried to explain it away. Newness, college carryover, early season noise. They told themselves it would normalize. It didn't. Then came the NBA on NBC night. It was framed as friendly, a bridge, a welcome to the big stage moment. No pressure, no stakes. But the second the camera cut to her, the tone changed. She didn't act like a guest. She didn't perform for applause. She broke the game down like she owned the desk.
All right. So it appears the WNBA and NBC Sports have decided to move forward without even getting the deal done with these WNBA players as they continue to just spew a bunch of nonsense in regards to the CBA. I think they need to sign that final offer that the WNBA sent. We got Brianna Stewart talking about she got tricks up her sleeve. They're talking about they might try to cause a scene. They might try to cause a scene at NBA All-Star Weekend. This is all crazy. It's all too much. But we have to get into the card that the WNBA and NBC Sports pulled. They basically said, look, we're having a season with or without you.
Millions watched, not gradually, instantly. Music. Inside NBC Sports, producers saw something they hadn't seen in years. Retention didn't dip, it rose. Clips moved beyond basketball circles. People who hadn't watched women's hoops in years were suddenly sharing analysis segments. That night did more than draw eyes. It moved leverage. The next morning, an owner asked for a before and after comparison. Before NBC, after NBC. The line didn't slope upward. It jumped. That's when the owner stopped protecting feelings. According to multiple insiders, he said it plainly. This isn't incremental. It's exponential. Then another owner added context that changed everything. A Liberty owner shared internal results tied to Caitlin Clark's appearances and coverage. For 100%. Not a projection, not a forecast. Actual movement. For 100% growth in attention in related revenue windows. That number traveled fast because when an owner says it, people listen. And once that number was out, the conversation changed overnight. This wasn't about culture anymore. It wasn't about balance. It was about business. Suddenly, the league's long-standing rule, no one player bigger than the system, felt fragile because the system wasn't driving this. She was.
It is. They flexed on him. Okay? They flexed on him. Here it says, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. The WNBA is coming to NBC and Peacock. So they are going on with their promo. This was put out today. And this is the promo they have that they were promoting today. If you know, you know. This is the W. This spring, NBC, Peacock, WNBA. Listen, I hope y'all WNBA players is paying attention. They will replace y'all asses. They have Caitlin Clark. They have Paige Beckers under contract. They have Angel Reese. They have replacement players they can go get. They have a slew of rookies there.
They're about to NBC noticed the pattern immediately. So did Peacock. Subscriber behavior aligned with the same truth. When Caitlin Clark content was prominent, time spent increased. When it wasn't, churn crept back. That's when the quiet decision was made. Move faster, feature more, lean in. And without saying it publicly, NBC began building around her gravity. This is where the tension exploded because the league had veterans, stars who had waited years for primetime attention. Voices that had been promised growth would be shared. But shared growth only works when the audience stays. The audience was choosing. Owners felt it first. Then agents, then players. Scheduling shifted subtly. Media requests rerouted. Opportunities that once rotated began clustering. Veterans noticed. The whispers started. Why NBC? Why Peacock? Why her again? Because the answer was uncomfortable. She brought people, and people are everything. This wasn't a punishment. It wasn't a slight. It was math. As NBC leaned in, another thing happened. Comparisons escaped the studio. Reggie Miller made one on air that stunned fans. Not because it was loud, but because it was precise. He didn't compare styles. He compared effect, gravity, the way defenses and audiences warp around a player.
They have a contingency plan in place. Y'all better stop playing games and sign this deal. Now we have to get to this right here. I think this is an absolute abomination. Nike dropping the ball. Here it says Nike confirmed to ad week it will not run a commercial during Super Bowl 60 this year, so there won't be a Nike X Caitlin Clark spot during the game. Listen, man, this don't make sense. Caitlin Clark's sneakers are about to drop this year. We could have got the promo and the heat going already. We could have been stirring the pot already, but y'all keep dropping the ball. It's almost like y'all are afraid. Y'all are afraid to push her. Why'd y'all sign her? If y'all don't want to push her, why'd y'all sign her? Come on now. Did y'all only sign her to keep her away from competitor companies? Is that what you did? Is that what you did? Because y'all act like y'all...
That comparison didn't flatter the league. It elevated Caitlin Clark. And once that happened, the system couldn't put the genie back. Behind closed doors, owners revisited assumptions. Marketing decks were rewritten. Media strategies updated. The phrase primary driver appeared where collective growth used to be. Veterans weren't cut. They weren't attacked. They were bypassed. Because when the clock is ticking and money is moving, sentiment takes a back seat. Then the unthinkable happened. An owner went public. Not angrily, not emotionally, clinically. He explained how coverage tied to Caitlin Clark changed the league's trajectory. How NBC exposure didn't cannibalize, it expanded. How Peacock subscriptions aligned. How partners asked for guarantees tied to her windows. And then he said the line that made the room go silent. We can't slow this down. That sentence landed hard because slowing down would mean protecting parity at the expense of growth. And once growth is visible, nobody wants to be responsible for stopping it. This is where panic set in. Not among fans, among decision makers have actually agreed to compromise on.
Decision makers
have actually agreed to compromise on. All the compromises I've seen have actually come from the WNBA themselves. All the compromises have come from the owners. We watched them not want to pay for y'all's apartments, not want to pay for y'all rental cars, and in the latest offer, it seems they're still offering to pay for apartments and stuff like that. That's a compromise on their part. They was talking about starting the season earlier. It seems like the season is going to start at the regular scheduled time. That's a compromise on their part. We saw the initial contract for a max contract be about 800,000. They've gone up to 1.3 million. That is a compromise on.
Because if NBC could build a gravitational center outside the league's traditional cadence, what happens to the old model? What happens to legacy scheduling? What happens to equal exposure promises? What happens to veterans who waited their turn? The answer wasn't spoken out loud. It was demonstrated. NBC kept moving. Peacock kept featuring. The audience kept following. The league tried to regain narrative control. Statements emphasized unity, growth together, rising tides. But the tide had a direction, and it wasn't waiting. Inside the league office, the realization became unavoidable. Control was shifting from institution to platform, from policy to performance. Caitlin Clark didn't demand this. She didn't campaign for it. She didn't complain. She showed up ready, and readiness is ruthless. As weeks passed, the data confirmed what owners feared. Attention wasn't fragmenting. It was consolidating, which meant something else had to give. Veterans began to feel it. Fewer marquee slots, less first call priority. Subtle, deniable changes that add up. The reaction wasn't pretty. Some pushed back publicly, others privately. A few used tactics that only accelerated the shift, drawing lines where none were needed, creating friction where calm would have helped. NBC didn't flinch because NBC had receipts, ratings, retention, revenue signals, and the Liberty owners' 400% number became shorthand for an uncomfortable truth. When Caitlin Clark was central, everything worked better. That truth created jealousy. Not personal structural, because structures are built to distribute power, and here power was pooling. The league tried to slow the narrative. But once Reggie Miller's comparison spread, fans framed the moment themselves, not as hype, but as inevitability. This wasn't a phase. It was a re-rating of value. NBC's posture made it clear they weren't replacing the league. They were re-entering it around what audiences actually chose. That distinction mattered because it meant the league wasn't ending. It was losing control of the middle. And in media, whoever owns the middle owns the future. Owners started saying the quiet part in private. We need to align with where the audience is going. Not might. Need. Need changes leverage. Need accelerates deals. Need sidelines tradition. As that reality set in, the question shifted from, is this fair, to, is this survivable for the old model? Maybe not.
What has it done right? What has it done wrong? Has the league been doing enough to protect her as a star in the face of the league? It's been almost a microcosm for just a social discussion. Do you want to just talk about that as what you see?
I still can't believe that, like, it's been how many years and the whole shit still gets brought up. Like, it's ridiculous.
Caitlin Clark definitely had an effect on the WNBA. All the metrics went up. So this was last season, right? When she first came into the league from college. And we've seen all of our metrics from viewership, ticket sales, sponsorship, everything went up almost 4x. 4x.
4x for 4, because when a platform like NBC decides to build momentum, it doesn't ask for permission. It follows the numbers. Caitlin Clark remained calm through it all. No public victory lap, no reaction to comparisons, no commentary on vets being left behind, which made the contrast stark. Chaos around her. Stillness from her. By the time the next set of owner comments surfaced, the message was consistent. The growth wasn't hidden anymore. It couldn't be. Someone tried to hide it earlier to protect balance, to avoid backlash. But growth doesn't stay hidden when it's this loud. The owner admitted it, not with blame, but with clarity. We underestimated the scale. Scale changes everything. Scale changes who negotiates. Scale changes who gets scheduled. Scale changes who gets built around. NBC understood scale. Peacock understood scale. The league learned it in public. This wasn't a coup. It wasn't a conspiracy. It was a migration. Audiences migrated. Attention migrated. Money followed. And when money moves, structures adapt or break. That's why the moment felt historic. Not because a record fell, because control did. The WNBA didn't disappear. It evolved under pressure. NBC didn't remove it. It reweed it. Veterans weren't erased, they were repositioned. And Caitlin Clark didn't take over by force. She took over by choice. The choice of millions of viewers. That's the part nobody can argue with. This wasn't marketing. This was math. And once math enters the conversation, everything else becomes